Greetings, all Whos. Gather round the Who sound machine. I'm going to tell you about the nasty, nasty Grinch. He disliked Christmas so much, he almost stopped it from coming. Now, the words that I say will match the words in your Who book, so please turn the page when the Who harp does this. Let's get started. In the whimsical town of Whoville, all the Whos liked Christmas a lot. But just north of Whoville lived the Grinch and his dog Max. The Grinch detested and despised Christmas. Staring down at Whoville, where happy Whos scurried here and there, he bristled.
This whole Christmas season is stupid!
Meanwhile, in Whoville, Postmaster Lou Who was purchasing presents with his 5-year-old Who, Cindy Lou Who. Lou purchased 2 snoozle phones for Cindy's 2 brothers. He also grabbed gifts for Who aunts, uncles, and cousins. But his sweet little tot was puzzled. Was all this really Christmas? Then, who should the father and girl meet than teenaged Whos, Christina, Stu, Junie, and Drew? The 4 teens told a terrifying tale. They had been exploring Mount Crumpet, and the Grinch himself had scared them silly. Cindy's eyes opened wide.
Why won't anyone talk about the Grinch?
Just saying the name Grinch filled the townsfolk with fear, even though Mayor Mayhew told them not to worry. Still, Cindy wanted to know more. She decided to discover the forgotten facts about the Grinch. The Grinch often slithered through Whoville, pulling pranks so naughty and nasty they would make a skunk hold its nose. He'd act like a chair and push Who sitters out of his seat. Or he'd roll a ball at the mall to make Who's slip, skip, trip, and flip. When Cindy and Lou arrived home, Who Mom Betty Lou Who was festooning their Who house with lights. She wanted to win the Whoville decorating contest.
This is the year.
Betty Lou thought of nothing else during the holiday season. She felt her fate was to finally finish first, far ahead of her neighbor, Martha May Whovier. Martha was sweeter than the sweetest Who pudding, though she wished to win too. As Lou got twisted and tangled in the lights, Martha May called from across the street.
Good night, Betty.
Returning to his cave, the Grinch was happy to behold heaps of rubbish piling up from the town below. For you see, this rancid refuse provided the power for the Grinch's dank dwelling.
There's no place like
Cindy, in her search for Who truth, asked doddering Who biddies Clarnella and Rose about the Grinch's peculiar past. They had raised him from Grinch baby to Grinch boy. Clarnella claimed he came the way all Who babies come.
On calm nights, baby Who girls and tiny Who fellas drift from the sky in their own umbrellas. We knew right away that he was special.
As a boy, the Grinch loved Christmas, almost as much as he adored young Martha. Martha thought he was quite cute, too. But the furry green Grinch was teased, especially by young Mayhew.
You're 8 years old and you have a beard.
Undaunted, The young Grinch began to fashion something special to make Martha merry at the school gift exchange. Tinkering and thinkering, he took some silverware, a bicycle beeper, and other oddities, and made them into an enchanting angel.
This will be perfect on the top of her tree.
Then he switched on the shaver and sloppily sheared his face. Unfortunately, the Grinch's grooming was grotesque. He skulked back to school, sporting a small sack on his head. There, everyone was exchanging gifts.
Merry Christmas, Martha May.
The future mayor scoffed at the angel and the sack.
He's embarrassed by that idiot or his gift.
Teacher Miss Roo-Hoo asked the Grinch to take off the bag. The Who children laughed and leered at the Grinch's horrible haircut until he could stand it no more. He stamped and stomped. He tore and tossed. He shouted and shattered.
Stupid Christmas! I hate Christmas!
He lifted their tremendous tree like it was a twig. Then the lampooned lad loped to lonely Mount Crumpet. With all this knowledge gnawing at her noggin, Cindy made a decision. As the Who's wondered who their next holiday cheermeister should be, Cindy spoke up.
I nominate the Grinch!
Mayor Mayhew and the townspeople cringed at her idea. But Cindy quietly quoted from the great Book of Who.
It goes to the soul at Christmas who needs it most.
Little Cindy crept cautiously to the Grinch's cave to invite him. The Grinch greeted her with a growl.
How dare you enter the Grinch's lair?
Cute but courageous, Cindy was not crushed. She simply stated the information about the Who-bration, adding,
Martha May will be there.
At the Who-bration, Betty was close to claiming the contest crown, but sneaky Mayhew stated that Martha had won. The Grinch then entered to the booze of Who's. But, true to Who tradition, he was made cheermeister. Hoisted high on the chair of cheer, his initial honor was having gallons of Who pudding sent galloping down his Grinch gullet. On Mayhew's command, the Grinch was dragged into dizzying dances. He was fed piles of pies, carts of cakes, and crates of cookies. He slalomed through sack races. Suddenly, mean Mayor Mayhew presented one more present.
The gift of a Christmas shave.
Gales of giggles greeted the grimacing Grinch. Then, Mayhew festooned Martha with fabulous gifts, including an engagement ring. This was too much for the Grinch.
Gift, 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 gift.
That's what it's always been about.
Gifts.
Gifts. In his fury, he torched the town tree and blasted back to Mount Crumpet. Around his place, the Grinch paced and paced.
I know just what to do.
Then he got an awful idea. He'd suit up like Santa Claus. He'd slap together a sleigh. He'd rig up Max as a reindeer. Soon they were flying off so fast they almost collided with a faintly familiar fellow. At the first Who house, the old Grinchy Claus grabbed his bags and bounded below. The chimney was more cramped than he'd counted on, but he crammed his body down, getting stuck just once. Soon the Who stockings inside the house were history. The tree was taken, and the gifts were gone. These same horrors happened at every Who house. The Grinch grabbed gifts from bicycles and tricycles to drums and plums. Upon entering Mayor Mayhew's mansion, the Grinch glimpsed the Whoville Cheermeister Award and rightfully recaptured it. He even visited Marvelous Martha's home, making off with the engagement ring from Mayhew. The Grinch stole undiscovered until he was uncovered in the house of none other than Cindy Lou Who. Cindy stared at the Grinch.
Santa, don't forget the Grinch. I know he's mean and hairy and smelly, but I think he's actually kind of sweet.
Beneath his green fur, Grinch blushed red as a ripe radish. Just the same, he shinnied up the chimney, even lugging the log from the fire. No food for the feast, no gifts for the giving, no light strings that stay lit even when one goes out, no anything. His booty bagged, it was time to travel 10,000 feet to the tip-top of Mount Crumpet to dump it, like so much Who trash. At the top, he lingered to listen for every Who-wah and bask in every Who-bah. Though Mayor Mayhew did moan that Christmas was ruined, it was Lou who stood to speak for the true spirit.
I'm glad he took our presents. You can't hurt Christmas, Mr. Mayor, because it isn't about the gifts or the contest or the fancy lights. That's what Cindy's been trying to tell everyone. And me. I don't need anything more for Christmas than this right here. My family.
Then the Grinch heard a sound in the soul of the season that slowly slid over the snow. Singing. Without toys, treats, or tinsel and trappings, all Whos of all ages, of all sizes, were singing, with bells ringing. The Grinch had not stopped Christmas from coming. It came swifter, sweeter, and stronger than anyone in Whoville could recall. Just imagine the perplexing puzzlement that now plagued the pondering Grinch. He simply stood still, struggling and straining.
How could it be so? It came without packages, boxes, or bags.
Then he thought of something he hadn't before. The Grinch finally figured out how the Whos happened to be so happy. Maybe Christmas, he sighed to himself, isn't store-bought stuff, nor simply stockings, tempting treats, or presents in pretty paper.
Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. Nurse! Help me! I'm feeling...
He scrambled to stop the sleigh from slipping over the snowy mountain. Suddenly, the situation grew worse, for sitting on top of the sleigh was a sweet little Who. The Grinch shuddered.
What are you after?
I came to see you.
The Grinch grinned at the girl, and the gentle, genuine joy of this magical moment made the Grinch's tiny heart grow 10 tremendous times. Now the spirit of Christmas surged strongly in the Grinch. His super strength became so spectacular, he scooped up the whole sleigh and saved Cindy. The sleigh whisked back to town like the wind. Seeing the sleigh sliding toward the city, Betty and Martha May forgot their feud and stretched their light strings so the sleigh could be stopped. In his soiled Santa suit, the Grinch said he was sorry. And he was fully forgiven by the fair-minded Whos. All the while, Martha was searching the sack on the sleigh. When she found the engagement ring, she returned it to a red-faced Mayhew. Martha stood by her Grinchy sweetheart, who gleefully got all the town lights glowing gloriously again. Little Cindy, the who knew there was more to Christmas than credit cards, and more to the Grinch than growls, gave her furry friend a kiss.